Couple of Daily Orange alumni here, drinking coffee,
That's
working,
it.
I don't know, 3.5 hours of sleep or so. How'd you sleep last night with three kiddos, Connor? I didn't even ask you.
Not the last two nights have been great because she won't sleep during the day. And so we're back to that. Like that's how she came out. No sleep during the day, and then she would sleep through the night. And I was kind of like, it sort of sucks because you can't get anything done and you have to carry her around all day, but then, you get like 10 to 7, and so it's kind of like I'll take it. So we're kind of back into that.
That's solid. I don't know what, I think I would take that, right? Like if you can get that solid string of
Yeah.
hours during the
Yeah.
night to catch up, and then you play that game of Jenga, Tetris, whatever the metaphor is during
Yeah.
the day to make life work.
Yeah.
But you're doing so like on a full tank of gas. So that's good.
Yeah, that's true. And you're kinder and you're kind of like, you can think. Yeah, for sure.
But I will say, everybody out there, when we had our third baby, Rocco, I was texting with a lot of friends and family, and Connor had the best thread of text messages out of anybody. It was immediate. Like our brains operate the same way. It's immediate. It's like practicality. How you make this work with three kids when you're running a business and cranking out stories. And your advice was amazing. Working shifts with your
Yeah.
wife. Like
Yep.
somebody takes the front end, somebody takes the back end. You're still going to probably get an hour, hour and a half, even when it's your shift and you're quote unquote on duty. But that was a life changer, man. We didn't do it with Ella. We didn't do it with Sonny. We're doing it with Rocco, and we're both getting enough sleep, even though he
Yeah.
wakes up 2 or 3 times a night.
Yeah. I thought I just can't believe we didn't think of it before. And granted, like we're a bottle fed family, so it's different, and some families kind of, have different options. But if you feed formula, it's like, dude, and it was awesome. Like this time around, when I say like, I had a baby that was born during the World Cup. I had a baby that was born during the Olympics, and there was nothing going on this time. But I caught up on more like prestige TV that I would never get to watch because I took the late shift. And so, the baby would be asleep, but you just have to be there next to the crib when she pops up so that she doesn't wake everybody else up. And so I'd be sitting there from like, 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. and I'd have my popcorn and, having, a nice seltzer or something like that. And I was like, this is all right.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
finished some books. I got some work done. And I'm like, I'm a night owl though. So I need that. Like I go to bed at like 1 most nights anyway. And so, it was perfect for me. Now by 3 o'clock, I was tanked, but then you sleep hard until like 9:30 and then you wake up and you feel like $1 million,
That's amazing. I mean, we're kind of hybrid. Gina's feeding, but she's able to pump so much. We got all kinds of milk to use, so I'm good, right? You just warm
hmm
up a cup of water. You put the little pouch in there, and you're good to go. But
Although,
yeah, I
do
was
you have the problem like I don't know if you're like me where you get if it's like the last feeding of the night. I've done this like 3 or 4 times where I just freak out and I worry that I didn't put milk in the bottle and I put like sour cream or something. Like I don't know if you've ever done that, but
I haven't done
I'll
that. No, no.
I'll go to bed thinking like, did I put milk or did I put like whipping cream in that bottle? Like, and then like you're like, well, whatever. She'll probably be fine.
For me, it's like the burping has been difficult, right? You got to get
Really?
that burp. Oh yeah,
Oh man.
it's we're sitting there kind of burping for a long time, but yeah, it was great. Like I transcribed for a while on this stuff I'm working on, and then he woke up. I don't know, like 11:30. So grabbed him, plopped down. We already whipped through all the Rockies again with the other kiddos. I've never seen the Creed series, so watching some Creed with Rocco. It's great breaking them in.
Yeah, I think we're through every like Harlan Coben mini mystery on Netflix, and there's like 12 of them. But I watched the entire Tour de France thing on Netflix. I was like, this is all right. I'm having a good time.
Which brings me to a hard hitting question to really start with, because me and Rocco, we finished this up a couple nights ago. Happy Gilmore 2. Where do you
Ooh.
stand?
So I loved Happy Gilmore 1. I don't think anyone else in my house has any interest in it, which is the problem. And so that's going to be one of those very rare nights for me where I'm alone in the house for at least 2 hours. And then if I'm alone in the house for at least 2 hours, I'm thinking to myself, I can either I can do any number of things. And do I want to commit it to Happy Gilmore? So I think that's going to be like a long-term thing for me. I've talked to several people who've seen it. Some people very cold on it. Some people lukewarm on it. I think it was more, some people just appreciated the nostalgia. So I don't know. It's just, it's a tough sell for the wife, right? Because, we're sitting down to watch something and you got every option in the world. And hey, like a frat boy comedy from the 90s that you didn't like when it came out. Now would you watch the sequel of it with me?
Ooh, she didn't like the first Happy Gilmore,
I
and you
don't.
you still married her.
We had a very brief. It's weird. Like I guess we've been together for. I mean, we'll be married 10 years this year and together for 15, 14. But it's we talk about a lot of stuff, but I don't think we've ever really talked about Adam Sandler. I know we watched there was one of those it was like date night. It was a movie that he had with Jennifer Aniston, and I remember like it was my turn to pick, and I picked that, and I remember her saying that that was just awful, and so I think I'm like hesitant to go down that road again.
Yeah.
So, and I know she likes Jennifer Aniston, so I think it was Adam Sandler's fault.
Well, if I can give you a pitch, 100%, you should carve out those 2 hours and watch it and love it and embrace it. Anybody out there criticizing Happy Gilmore to even, some of my closest friends, we've had some, knock 'em out, drag 'em out fights in our group text messages. I don't know. Were you expecting Oppenheimer? Were you
Well,
expecting
yes,
The God?
yes,
Like what? It's Adam
yes,
Sandler. It's Happy Gilmore. Like the nostalgia is through the roof. I was howling, start to finish. Loved it.
good.
You got, oh my God, it's cornball, it's cheesy at times, but it's also witty and it's gonna make you laugh. And so many cameos. Boban from the NBA. I don't want to say who he is. He drops in to make a cameo. It's awesome. I loved it. And any opinion to the contrary is incorrect.
I hate the highlight of my summer this year was taking my son to go see Superman because he is peak superheroes and like this is like his Super Bowl. We saw the preview for the movie in February and he's asked me every single day when we're going to see it. So we went on opening day, we took all of his buddies, like we got all the popcorn and stuff like that. And then, he's just having the time of his life and he's talking about it every day. And all I hear is that Superman is terrible. The movie sucks. Mike Francesa says, well, he spends half the movie getting his ass kicked. What kind of movie would it be if right at the beginning he just beat the shit out of the one guy that he
Right.
was supposed to fight? Like, yeah, he's going to lose for a little and then win. Like, and they're like, well, that's not how Christopher Reeve did it. And I was like, well, I wasn't, I didn't see that, but that must have been terrible if the show must have been 9 seconds long if he just killed the villain in the first 30 seconds. I
We
don't know.
want the struggle. We inherently, as human
We
beings,
need the
want Michael
struggle.
Jordan to struggle against the Detroit Pistons.
And
Get over that. Like, that's why we love MJ.
I'm hoping that I'm not spoiling this by anybody, but like shocker, like the main guy that he's fighting throughout the movie is a clone of himself. So yes, it's going to be difficult to defeat if you're the strongest person on earth and then you're also fighting the strongest person on earth. Like yeah, it's going to go back and forth a little bit. I don't know.
Mm.
Just my
Mike
thoughts.
Francesca. Come on. We should
Say
bring our
no
buddy Matt
more.
Ehalt on. He's like a little mini Francesca. I mean, I wonder, it probably has the
I
same
bet I
take.
bet he I know Ehalt hated Superman. I guarantee you Ehalt hated Superman.
Guarantee it. All right, we gotta talk some football. Conor Orr is obviously one of the best NFL writers in the country, podcasters in the country. Sports Illustrated, the MMQB podcast. I listen to it as much as possible. You should too. You and Albert Breer have that perfect blend of substantive football talk and the kind of shit that's going to make you laugh. I mean, your insistence on coming back to Philip Rivers and how many kids he has and how that's even possible was awesome. I couldn't get enough of it. I mean, I kind of came away thinking maybe me and Gina should go to 9 or 10. Why not? Like, let's do it.
I had a great line. I was talking to a coach about this the other day, and he has a bigger family, and he was encouraging me to have to go from 2 to 3, and he is going from 4 to 5. And I said, "Oh my God!" I said, "Congratulations!" And I was like, "Are you nervous?" And the guy said, "It's kind of like when you've had 10 beers and then you have 11 beers. Like, what's the difference?" And I was like, that's the best analogy I've ever heard. Where it's just like, yeah, you have 10 beers, so you have 11 beers. What's
Yeah,
what's the big deal?
it's true. I mean, you kind of gave me a little nudge. My roommate, Jimmy Paul back at Cuse, he had his third around the same time you had your third. gave me a little nudge, and I
Just do
encourage
it.
everybody out there with 2 kids, just take the
Just
plunge.
do
The
it.
world needs, well, first of all, we got a population crisis, so everybody out there should have as many kids as you can. And it's fun. It's what life's all about.
That's what it says. That
Yeah.
at the end of the day, that's what we're here for sure.
We want to hit on a team in the NFC and a team in the AFC that perhaps the mainstream isn't discussing enough. And you think, because there's always a team, right, Connor? There's
There
always a
is.
team in the NFL with the way the league's set up, with the draft, with free agency, with the cap, and, elite quarterbacks. One can sprout up as a rookie second year. There's always a team that wins 4, 5, 6 games that becomes a division winner, perhaps even in the conference championship game. So we want to have a little fun. Let's hear candidate in each conference. Supply some takes. They can be as hot as you'd like. Maybe you've even written about it. Maybe you will write about it. But let's start in the AFC. Conor Orr, Sports Illustrated. Is there a team out there that is going to sneak up on folks and maybe not only get into that 44% club and the Roger Goodell pizza party where everybody is getting the trophy, because that's how the NFL is now. Half the teams basically make the playoffs. Not only do they get into the playoffs, but they may win a game or two.
Okay, so how about the Indianapolis Colts with Daniel Jones
Whoa.
as their quarterback? All right. How about this?
Whoa. I got
All
to go
right.
get some Baileys for this coffee.
Okay. All right. Let's discuss because here's my thought. The last 2 years, they've outscored the Texans. Last year, they got under control a little bit better the net point differential, right? The year before it was out of control when they still almost won the division, right? And last year it was only a 50 net point differential. And I think the year before that was a little bit higher. But now you go and you make the hire of the offseason, in my mind, which is Lou Anarumo from the Bengals. It's totally scapegoated there for a lack of personnel. He's going to get that defense under control. You're probably going to get closer to that 0 net point differential, which is where the Texans finished last year. And with Houston, I just don't understand. I like everything that the Texans are doing. I have no problem with what the Texans are doing. But the fact that we just keep airmailing this team into the divisional championship and saying like, oh yeah, they're going to win it all, and CJ Stroud's going to continue on this line, I don't buy it. And I think that Shane Steichen is the best offensive coach in that division. I don't think it's particularly close. I think that he got hosed by whatever happened with Anthony Richardson. I mean, he just hasn't panned out. I think if you give him a more confident Daniel Jones, I think you're going to be in a spot where they can win 9 or 10 games. That division's always going to be ugly. But I think that you could beat the Texans twice and you can make the playoffs. That's a hot one right there.
That's sizzling. That is so keep bringing it back to the kids. You know how, when you don't want your kids to take your food, you say, "Oh, it's spicy. It's
very
it's hot."
spicy. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, Ella has cracked the code. The jig is up there, and Sonny now knows when I say that it's not really spicy, but
See,
that is
your
a
mistake,
legitimately
though,
hot, spicy take.
here's your mistake. Like you had to the first time it had to actually be hot. And my dad move forever is like whenever we go out to a restaurant, the kids always eat my wife's food because I will order things that are just like mouth-bendingly hot because I like spicy food, but it's also it's like a preservation thing where it's like this is going to be mine and no one's going to touch it. So
Well, that's legitimately 9/11 Tavern hot sauce on the wings. I was not thinking Indianapolis Colts.
but it's I'm curious what you're going to say in the AFC because I feel like so many of these teams, so many of the playoff spots are already rubber stamped to the point where the Colts are the one team that I think that could surprise people and win that division and make the playoffs because I think so many of these other spots are just rubber stamped, at least in my opinion.
On the Colts, what I can't get past, Connor, and we're both pretty plugged into the New York Giants. I have a hard time seeing Daniel Jones succeed if he didn't succeed with Brian Dable,
There.
Mike Kafka, Shea Tierney, even last year when they did surround him with some weapons, Malik Neighbors. The line, I get it. The offensive line was the offensive line. It was mostly a cluster, you know what. But I'm going to write about this at some point. The Daniel Jones personality and the Brian Dable personality, they could not be further apart on the
Yes.
spectrum. They are fire and ice, totally different. It wasn't going to work out. So maybe that's the silver lining. If Shane Steichen is just kind of wired a little differently than Dable, not quite as in your face. Maybe that's what he needs, wants,
So
and that
so
helps. But I don't think he's a good quarterback. I took the bait too many times over. I'm not going to get fooled again.
here's my elevator pitch. They won 9 games last year. And so here's the most insane stat ever. And I hate EPA, but it illustrates a point here. Anthony Richardson, this is short accuracy from a clean pocket. Passes that travel from 5 to 9 yards with no pressure. Here's his ratings in terms of EPA. Accurate throw percentage, dead last, 42nd out of all qualified starters. Catchable ball percentage, dead last out of all qualified starters. Off target throw percentage, first, so the worst out of all qualified starters. Highly accurate throw percentage when targeting an open receiver, dead last among all qualified passers. He was one of the worst quarterbacks in like it's Tebow era stuff that we're talking
Yeah.
about. And they won 9 games. And if you have Daniel Jones, who again, listen, Daniel Jones was bad enough from an emotional standpoint that people there are raving about Russell Wilson. Okay. So with the Giants. Okay. So I get it. I understand. I know I know what you're thinking. But like, even if he just brings it up to just,
Hmm.
competence, if you run the offense the way that it's supposed to be, why can't they win 10 games? They've won 9 games, each of the last 2 years. I don't see why not.
Yeah, I mean the bones of the roster are pretty strong, and then they did pay up for some guys, right? Charvarius Ward, Cam Bynum.
Yeah.
They drafted Tyler Warren. I was surprised that he fell that far.
One of my favorite players in the draft. Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. So
I
I don't
don't
know.
know
Give me
though.
yours.
I feel like with Daniel Jones, that's been the thing. We kind of say, all right, if this goes right and that goes right, and he gets this coaching and that weapon, at the end of the day, the quarterback has to be that driving force. But hey, you're on record, and they go win 10, 11 games. Everybody is going to trust one Conor Orr on this one. Hey, they
That's
just
it.
paid up. I think they re-signed their left tackle,
Yeah.
100 mil today, right?
Bernard Raymond.
Yes. Is he
Let's
good? I don't know
go.
much about him.
I think I think that they built that offensive line a little bit on the cheap, but I think all in all, I don't think he's the worst. You got to pay your left tackle. If you have a good left tackle, you have to pay him.
I like
I
what you
also
said
think
about the
Chris Ballard's
Texans
kind of
too.
hanging on, you know. He's hanging on by the skin of his teeth. So let's give him a chance. I don't know. Give me yours. I want to hear yours.
Last Colts point. Every other team in the AFC South has won the division twice since Chris Ballard took over, and they have not. I
Mm.
think that's right.
You better not be trying to sell me on Jag stuff.
I'm not going to sell you on Jag stuff.
Good. I don't want to hear that.
Let's
I'm not here
go.
for that.
Let's go to the AFC East, where yes, I think the Buffalo Bills cruise, win the division, are in the conference championship game again. I mean, the Bills have a tough schedule, but they get all those heavy hitters at home, Ravens,
Yep.
Bengals, all those teams. So the schedule broke really good for them. I'm actually going to get out there to Bills camp in a couple days. Oh, man, I might regret this. Give me the Miami Dolphins, though, as a surprise team in the
No.
AFC. Give me
What?
the Dolphins. Okay, hear me out.
Ah.
You need a little tension. I like the fact that there's a little tension in Miami, right? Like usually this time of year, everything's peaches and rainbows and puppies, and they're scoring 70 points on the Denver Broncos, and it's just Mike McDaniel
Mm.
inventing stuff on the napkin that has all of the film nerds jaws hitting the floor, and it's different this year. You got Tua Tagovailoa at the podium, like publicly to the world, saying, "Yeah, I'm not just gonna like give Tyreek Hill a bro hug and say it's all right." He said some stuff, and you don't just say my bad. You got to work toward repairing that relationship. I kind of like it. I kind of like the fact that they got to work through some shit right now in August. From a culture standpoint, I think that's good for the spirit of the team, and also I get it. Look, they haven't won in the cold. They haven't beaten good teams. All that stuff is very, very real. Quietly, however, the last two drafts in the first two rounds, all that they've done is draft offensive and defensive linemen, right? Like they understand they have to somehow toggle between play styles. You can't just trot out these 4x100 sprinters and think you're gonna, run away from defenses when
Yeah.
it's 2 degrees out. Like the Bills kind of played that way and won that way for a while until, yeah, they got what they were begging for, a home game against the Cincinnati Bengals, and it snowed. It was a blizzard, and they got stomped because they couldn't
Right.
play in that kind of game. There's a defensive starter on that team. I saw him the next year, and he's like, man, everybody wanted us to host this playoff game. We were built for a dome. Our team was
Right.
built for a dome, and he was right. And then Brandon Beane, Sean McDermott, to their credit, they got tougher. They you get what you emphasize, as Mike McCarthy used to say for years and years. They emphasized it in the front office. They emphasized it from a coaching staff standpoint, and now they can win a wide open game, and they can drag you into the dark alley. I don't think Miami's prepared to drag teams into the dark alley, but I think that they finally looked themselves in the mirror and said, what we've been doing isn't going to work in November and December and January. Look, Tua catches a lot of hell, and a lot of it's justified. But for a stretch last year, when he's off of concussion number, whatever in the hell it was, 3, 4, 5, I've lost track, he was playing as well as any quarterback in the AFC for a good 5, 6 game stretch. He's here in Orchard Park going 25-28. Tyler Bass needs to connect on a 61-yard field goal to win. If a lot of ifs here, but
Oh.
if they can kind of maintain that elite speed, Tua, Tyreek, Jalen Waddle, hey, Malik Washington, they're excited about this guy too. I'm not gonna pretend like Darren Waller is going to be is going to
It's on the pup list. He's not even
yeah,
active.
yeah. I'm not gonna try to sell Darren Waller, but I will sell Devon Achane. Jalen Wright is a stud. They use a fullback. You gotta love that. They use a
Oh.
fullback. I think offensively they've got the potential with these picks, right? Some guys that maybe, Patrick Paul, we'll see how he works out at left tackle. I think that they can maybe run the ball and convert a 3rd and 1 this year while sticking to who they are. And then defensively, hey, Zach Sealer might be one of the best interior rushers in football. Okay. You do have, if healthy, I know another if, Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb. You've got two edges who can get the quarterback. And I loved the trade. We got into it a couple weeks ago, getting Minka Fitzpatrick, removing Jalen Ramsey. It was beyond repair with Jalen Ramsey. I'm surprised they got anything for him. I think a lot of people are surprised they got anything for him. I think defensively you can talk yourself into some stops. Kenneth Grant, solid pick. You cringed, you rolled your eyes, you almost fell out of your chair when I said Miami. Tell me I'm dead wrong, Connor.
Okay, so let's stack up how ridiculous. So if the Colts are ridiculous, um because I want to see, because we all have soft spots for teams. So your ifs are like, I offensive line, if you go head to head, who wins? I would give my nod to the Colts. Right? I mean, Raymond, Quentin Nelson, Braden Smith versus, I mean, what, Austin Jackson, Patrick Paul. You, you, your center's probably your best offensive lineman there. I don't know. And then defensive line. I mean, I love Chubb. I think he's super underrated. I think he was one of my most underrated players in the AFC last year when I did that column. But I don't know. You compare that to, like, Grover Stewart is still one of the best run stuffers in the league. DeForest Buckner. I don't know, man. I and then you have Daniel Jones against Tua, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but the Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle thing. I mean, Tyreek Hill could be gone by the I don't know. I
Oh,
can't
it
I
could.
can't get behind this. I can't get behind this. I just can't. I appreciate you entertaining the Colts, but I was 100% sure you were going Patriots, and I was just
Mm-hmm.
ready to totally blanket stamp that and agree with that. I think New England could be a 9-win team this year, but Miami, man, holy smokes.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what? I credit you for carving out a position that I have not heard yet this offseason. That's good.
For better or worse, I enjoy being a contrarian. I'll
Me
give you that.
too. Yeah,
We need more of it. And I've
I
been
agree.
wrong. Hey, I've mentioned it a few times in the past, but once upon a time, I wrote a big feature on Lynn Bowden Jr. on the verge of maybe taking over the AFC. That didn't happen. But other times, Jordan Love, I'm going to stay on that mountain. I felt all alone on that mountain once upon a time.
Yeah,
Sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong.
you're
And I'm
absolutely
not saying
right.
the Dolphins are going to win the Super Bowl, but I just think they're a team that everybody's just dismissing. They're sick of. They've taken the bait. They're not going to take it again. And I don't know. I feel like it's just a different attitude and vibe around the team this summer that I like. I like a little bit of a tension and realization that you've got to change, you've got to evolve, or you might be gone too. Like, and let's face it too. Tua Tagovailoa has to lift up those around him. They paid him, and now they're in transition to the point where it can't be Waddle and Tyreek and these players elevating Tua to a different level. He's got to have the ability to make somebody that we're not even talking about a better receiver or help the offensive line and with his
Yeah.
movement a little bit. He doesn't move like a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL, and he's got to stay healthy. I just I can see the Dolphins winning 10, 11 games and getting into the
Wow.
playoffs and maybe even winning a game. I just think the pressure is a good thing for
All
this
right, do
team.
yourself a
And I do
favor.
like New England. New England's got a soft schedule, and Mike Vrabel is, you know what they're going to get. They're going to be culturally and physicality wise. They're so maybe that should have been the pick.
But you know what you need to do? You need to do what Good Morning Football does, and you need to clip this. I mean, they do it with every team. So then when any team is good, they get to just post it, right? But you need to clip this and you need to tweet it, and then you let it get buried. And then when the Dolphins are like 7-0, then you re-up it from before. So that's the move, you know?
Did you make the mistake of watching any back together football coverage? Look, we got friends in NFL Network. There's some good people there. I gotta throw that qualifier in there. Ian's been so good to us. Love Ian. I don't
Oh
know how he
yeah.
does what he does. He's great dude. But I flipped it on, negotiated with the children. All right, you guys go play with your toys. I kind of want to just throw some football on in the background. And there's Kyle Brandt in Latrobe with a Jerome Bettis jersey on, riling up the fans, while also saying that all those reports in Chicago are overblown and Caleb Williams is going to be fine. It's like every
Sure.
team is kind of covered, right? Everybody's kind of pacified and
Yep,
um,
everybody's fine, right? Like,
everything's good. Yeah. All right. Nothing to see
that's
here.
I know that's the thing that makes me so mad, and you uniquely also, but like that just like, oh, everybody's saying it's not okay. Well, probably because it's not okay. And
Right.
the reason that you're saying it's okay is because the team asked you to say it was okay,
Yeah.
so that everybody thinks it's okay.
He also admitted he doesn't return his shopping cart. So if I'm a little surly, I sorry, but if you don't return your shopping cart and you admit it on a podcast, then it says a
For
lot about
you,
you.
I was actually reading the Costco forum on Reddit, cart etiquette. I was reading that last night, and I
Hmm.
thought of you. So because there's a lot to it. Bigger shopping carts. There's a lot more issues, more crowded space, more assholes, and so one of the cart workers actually wrote something about like, here's how it would be helpful to me if you went about your day. So I read the whole thing.
We're also, I don't know, I'm 5'10". What are you? You're about 5'10", right? 5'9".
5'9". Yeah.
Yeah. So I pissed off tall people though. I've kind of moved on from shopping carts and threw out some tweets a couple weeks ago on there's a meme making the rounds, like congratulating the people who stand up on the airplane when it gets to the gate. Like, oh my God, you saved 1.7 seconds on getting to your
Yes.
next destination. Congratulations. And so a lot of people were sending it to me. I reshared it and basically said those people need to be shot to the sun. Which of course I was being literal. Like, yeah, let's load them up and shoot them to the sun. A lot of tall people got mad. A lot of tall. They say their legs get sore, their knees ache, and that they have to stand up immediately.
What a
Which
burden for them to bear after getting like, all the girls and, being able to, make the basketball team and all that stuff must have been so hard for them all those other times. So,
that's
yeah,
right.
I'm not here for that.
Sit your ass down and
Yeah.
Let's all be civil and deplane by
Yeah.
row.
Take a couple ibuprofen, you'll be fine.
Okay. NFC. Who you
All
got?
right. I think the NFC is easier in this exercise because, again, like there's more out there. You know what I mean? Like there's more, I think there's more real estate and there's more room to improve. So I can't say the Commanders, right? Because I think that they took everybody by storm and surprised everybody last year. Part of me wants to say the Buccaneers in a sense that like, yes, they're going to win the division, but I legitimately think that they could go to the conference title game and possibly the Super Bowl. I think they're that good. So if you want to talk that, we could talk that. But otherwise, I'm going to go with the Seahawks because I love what the
Ooh.
Seahawks did. They had my favorite draft out of any team. Um, and I think that Milrow is going to be a factor early in the red zone. Gray Zabel is going to help them button up the run game. And wait do you see the difference that makes with the bringing in a new play caller? Because from what I understood, last year was just a mess for lots of reasons in that room. So I think that you're going to streamline that whole thing. I think you got one of the best young head coaches in the NFL. And now you get the kid from South Carolina too, the hybrid safety corner. You can play a little bit more big nickel. That's how you shut down,
Yep.
the Shanahan offenses. So I don't know. I like Seattle. A lot to like there.
I like that. Shame on me. I don't think about the Seattle Seahawks nearly enough. It must be the East Coast bias I have. I got to get my ass out there to the West Coast and get around some of these teams because when you really do look at Seattle, you have a lot of smart football people making decisions
Mm-hmm.
still. How many
Yeah.
teams just kind of reset at GM or their scouting staff and like they've had continuity with John Schneider all the way through. They kind of promote from within. They know what they're looking for, and it's going to be a healthy roster. If that makes any sense, right? There's not going to be many holes year
Yeah.
to year, and it's always been that way. I don't know, like Geno Smith to Sam Darnold is a step down, I think. Uh, love Geno. He can rip it, but I'm with you on the Milrow pick. I was just chatting with somebody in the Eagles front office who made a point to say, man, I love them taking Milrow. And more teams should just take those third round, fourth round flyers when they have a quarterback. Why not? Like give them a legitimate year, 2 years to grow into a role. Like you just put it perfect, Connor. Like let him do one thing really, really well. Gain
Yeah.
his confidence at this one thing. Instead of just asking him to go out there and play Superman and do everything, he'll be able to be in some situations, excel, run around a little bit, maybe throw deep. He was able to do that really well at Alabama. Like one of the best athletes we've seen at the position, and he's got a gun. Who knows? Maybe in 3 years you have a legit elite quarterback. Maybe he
Yeah.
completely flames out, but it's worth a third round pick.
I think so. I mean, there's so many tools there. And again, if you just allow him to, it's like what you would have done, what you might have thought you wanted to do with Jalen Hurts before he became Jalen Hurts, and then he took you by surprise. Great, but he doesn't have to take you by surprise. You have another quarterback. You can keep Sam Darnold out of trouble, and I know Sam Darnold's a good red zone quarterback, but you don't want quarterbacks getting hit there, and you want to diversify your options. It's the hardest place on the field to call plays. Imagine you have an absolute just ace up your sleeve, and why not? He's an absolute specimen, and you don't he doesn't have to throw the ball. And if he grows into that, because I heard he's a lot smarter than he gets credit for, I think that offense didn't ask him to do a whole lot at Alabama because that's a defense first place. Saban traditionally is how he wants to run things. See what happens. I don't know. It's better than what you're going to get. Some jobber inside linebacker from, Jackrabbit State in the third round. I mean, or, take a guy who could end up being your quarterback of the future. I'm a fan. So,
Gray Zabel is like guaranteed to start in the NFL for a decade plus, right?
yep.
Like that's just going to happen.
Yep. I mean, that one is, and again, like offensive line is hard, and FCS to NFL isn't always a lock. And we've had some guys from that program actually that haven't made the jump. But I mean, my God, you watched him at the Senior Bowl. I mean, this kid seems to have it all, and he can play every single position. Are you kidding me? So if there's attrition on the offensive line, which there will be, you pair him with Charles Cross, and all of a sudden you've got it turned a weakness into a strength.
My one concern would just be the receiving core. I get not paying DK Metcalf all that money and want to
Hmm.
diversify the roster portfolio with whatever the hell he got from Pittsburgh. What was it? How many per year? 20, was it 25 a year?
Yeah.
No, more than that. It was a lot of money. So you've got Jackson Smith and Jigba, Cooper Cup. You paid him a pretty penny. These receivers can fall off a cliff. I would like to think that Cup has a year left in him. There were some moments last season that were encouraging. That's still a gamble. And then you see Marquez Valdez-Scantling. He's been bopping around the NFL. He was in the Bills training
MVS,
camp last
baby.
year. Love me some MVS, but I don't know how much more MVS has
I
in
mean,
him.
he
So
had a
the
couple
receiving
big
core
games
would
for
scare me
Clint
a little.
Kubiak last year with New Orleans. So, there might be
He
a little
did.
bit up his sleeve
He did.
still.
Yeah, that's true. So how
Give
many
me your
wins we
team.
talking here?
Oh, Seattle? Well, so I think the Cardinals are probably my team that I feel like are probably going to fall off there. San Francisco is going to come back. I mean, I think San Francisco is going to be really good this year. So, I mean, I think, and the Rams, we just don't know because Stafford is again a question mark. We're talking about his back and maybe Jimmy Garoppolo starting some games, which is, that makes me nervous. But I mean, I think 10 wins for Seattle. Again, I mean, I think 10 wins is the floor for them. This is a good football team.
There you have it. All right, I'm going to go to trying to think of a segue. All right, so Zach Charbonnet was on a youth football team that kicked the snot out of this player's football team 56 to nothing back in the day in California. And that
Wow.
served as the defining wake up call for this player. And that player would be Drake London. He said
Mm.
that
I read your Drake
that
London
moment,
feature, which was excellent.
oh, thanks for reading. Lifted some weights, started working out more. He needed that moment. And I'm going to go with Atlanta. I've been riding those Falcons all off season. I'm gonna keep riding that train. I think that yeah, some of these risks, some of these bold picks, decisions, Kirk Cousins signing, Kyle Pitts over Penei Sewell, Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, Micah Parsons. Some of these moves haven't paid off. But if you go balls to the wall and you think outside of the box and you're unafraid, decision to decision to decision, and you attack it as a general manager like Terry Fontenot, I love this player. I'm going to get this player. I have a vision for this player. And you've got the trust from ownership to keep taking these swings, right? That's the big caveat here. Not all GMs have an Arthur Blank who says, spend whatever you need to spend. You're my guy. Keep, draft Michael Penix after I just paid Kirk Cousins 100 million guaranteed. Not all GMs have that luxury. Terry Fontenot does. And I think all of these bold moves are going to pay off big time 2025 this year. Michael Penix says this can be the best offense in the NFL, quote unquote, unstoppable. If it's not the best, I think it will be very, very close. All in on Michael Penix. He's got a gun. He's smart. I mean, Drake London was kind of breaking down those last three games, right? The sample size is small. He only started those three games. But he said that Penix is coming to them before those games and saying, look, this safety is going to move that way. This corner is going to do this, do that. And exactly to a T, that's kind of how it played out on Sunday. So I think intellectually he's there. He can look off players. He's got a strong arm. He's more mobile than the draft industrial complex thought. Like, think about all the knee injuries he had back to Indiana, to Washington. Like, he had to adjust his game to survive, to stay healthy. I mean, at one point he's laying down on his dorm floor at Indiana crying, thinking he's done with football. So he had to adjust out of necessity. He did. Threw for more yards than anybody in college football. Took the Huskies to the national championship game. So you know what he is as a leader. And I think that while he's not Mike Vick, this is somebody that at the combine had that great 40. Back to high school, they called him Tech 9 because he was so explosive. Go back. I know it's high school, but go back and watch some of those highlights. He can move better than people think. I think Penix is the real deal. I think Drake London's, one of the best, well, I should say one of the most underappreciated rising stars in the sport. Like, he is tough. I know what you're going to get out of Kyle Pitts. The Darnell Mooney injury isn't ideal. But then you have a top 5 offensive line. Then you have maybe the best running back this side of Saquon Barkley and Bijan Robinson. Offense, they're going to go for 30 plus week in and week out. Defense, yeah, you got some question marks there. But what do? They get 2 pass rushers in this draft. I think Jalen Walker fell right into their laps. James Pierce, all sorts of red flags, as you know, Connor. And Bob chronicled it here at Go Long. But to get him late in the first round, and you're basically using your first rounder next year, this year. If that hits, there's not many edge rushers built like him. So I think they can be average on defense, which is enough to get to 11 wins, win the division. Maybe you're the Commanders. Maybe you get to the NFC Championship game this year. All in on the Atlanta Falcons.
I think the Atlanta Falcons are like it's like those episodes of Diners, Drive-ins, and Dives where you watch like someone just keep throwing shit into the pot, and you're like, wow, it sounds good to have like ranch dressing on chili, and then you're like, oh, and you could put pizza on there, all right, and then you're like, oh, and then onion rings, and you're like, wow, and then all of a sudden you're like, this is either going to be the best sandwich ever, or it's going to give me a massive heart attack and total indigestion, and so. I'm all here for it. I like the fact that they were thinking differently, thinking differently, thinking differently. Cool, 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 cool. But now you gotta show me because before you were like, well, it was a play caller. That didn't work out. Well, it was a quarterback. Okay. Well, it's gonna work once we get in a different quarterback. Well, this quarterback's hurt, so now we got to draft another quarterback. But now that he's here, it's gonna be great. And so now we've arrived at this point where it's like you got to win 11 games or else
It's
like
true.
a one-win improvement is not going to one-win improvement's just not going to do it.
They are the NFL's garbage plate for those here in Western New York and the Rochester area. I don't know if garbage plates made their way out to Syracuse, but my freshman year before I transferred to Cuse, I was at St. John Fisher, and garbage plates were massive, obviously. Have you ever had a garbage plate?
Oh yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
gotcha. So I think to me
Fat
that they
sandwich, all
are
that
a
stuff. Yeah.
plus diners, drive-ins, whatever, garbage plate. And you're gonna love it. You're gonna feel good. It might, you know what, you might have to go to the bathroom the next day. Like the Falcons, they're gonna have some financial issues to kind of work through, but that's fine. They'll work through it. Arthur Blank's got that Home Depot money. Hey, pay 100 million for a guard and Chris Lindstrom. Pay up for Jesse Bates, AJ Terrell on the back end. I like it. I think you need explosiveness, and they've got it on both sides of the ball. They've got guys who can make big plays, and now they've got players who can take the ball away. Even like they didn't have a lot of picks in the draft, but they got the guy from Notre Dame. Was it Xavier Watts?
Yeah.
Right, he led the nation, I think, in turnovers last year. And so that's a good thing to get. Yeah, there he is, 96th overall. Even Billy Bowman, fun player, Oklahoma, shot out of a cannon like him. So I don't know. Even some of those later round picks could pan out. Let's see it. Now the Bucks. How many divisions have they won in a row now? Like they are the team to beat in the lackluster NFC South. But Atlanta, even with Kirk Cousins, had their number last season. So I think that when it comes to Tampa Bay, this Falcons team isn't necessarily peeing down their legs.
You and I see that differently, man. I think the Buccaneers could contend for a Super Bowl this year. I think they're good. I think they're really good. I don't know.
I like
I
Tampa.
like that we see it so
I'm not a
differently though.
yeah. It's
There's
it's
there's
there's gonna
one
be
version
somebody.
of this, and then, there's a world where the Falcons and the Dolphins are crushing everybody, Tyler, and there's a version where the you know, Colts and the Bucks and everybody else.
Where do you
That's the
stand on
beauty of it.
Penix? Do you like Penix as much as me?
Great dude.
Okay.
One of my favorite. We had dinner before the Super Bowl last year, and all-time favorite burger order, bacon cheeseburger, medium, and he pointed at the waiter and he said, "And no vegetables on it. No
Ooh,
vegetables." So that's
I
how you
like it.
accelerate on a burger order. No vegetables.
I
So
like it.
that
Okay.
gave me, but yeah, I think he's great. I think, and I think he'll be fine. I just don't know if he'll be good enough as soon as the Falcons need him to be, because we got to, he's a kid still. I mean, he had a lot of reps in
hmm
college, but like this is a different deal. You know what I mean?
I do think it's funny that you've got Ryan Poles laughing publicly at a podium about this pick. When he was asked about it way back when. I kind of wish that the Bears and Falcons played each other this year. They unfortunately do not. That's a matchup I was hoping for. Get Penix and Caleb Williams on the same field, but who knows? Maybe they'll face off at some point.
Hope so.
Hey, before we lose you, I mean, we do have to go to. Oh, looks like my internet connection's in and out. Do you have me, Connor?
I got you.
Okay. final point here, just in the interest of both ends of the spectrum, just give me a team that you think is this not going to be good this year. Is there one out
Ooh.
there? If you don't want to be a negative Nancy in late
No.
July, that's fine.
Here's what I will say. I think that every year that we tell ourselves that a division is going to be a gauntlet and unstoppable, they never are. And so let's pump the brakes on the NFC North a little bit. Like I just think, every team is probably poised to take a little bit of a step back.
Yeah,
And so maybe it won't be like this out and out tanking.
yeah.
But it's not going to be what it was last year. I mean, last year was peak brilliance, peak football brilliance from three different coaches. I don't think we're going to get that this year. I think this year is going to be a little bit of a slop fest.
I'm with you. I think so. I think the hype in Chicago is a little overblown. Man, I love the Vikings and what they did in the offseason on both lines. Got to see it from JJ McCarthy, right? We got to see it
Hmm.
to believe it. The Lions, they're getting their whole defense back, but you are breaking in two new coordinators in Green Bay. A ton of B to let's say C plus to A minus players. I think it's a very, very good roster, but there's a reason that they haven't been able to beat the best of the best. I mean, they were a missed field goal away from not even winning the division, winning one game of the division last year. So, yeah, I'm with you. Like, let's see it to believe it. In the North, Conor Orr, baby, that was awesome. A lot of dad talk, a little bit of football talk. That's how we like it here on the Go Long Pod. Everybody out there, please do yourself a favor. Read Conor's work as much as possible. I think you're just at Conor Orr on the old Bird
Hmm.
app. Is that right?
Oh yeah. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
And SI.com. Hit that NFL tab, cranking out great stuff. And of course, work that MMQB podcast into your life. Equal parts informative and entertaining. All right, we should probably both get back to our wives and the children and assist and make our presence known. It's been an hour. I'm on the deck, right?
And
I
it's like,
got walls and windows closed. I don't know what chaos is ensuing
I
inside,
know
but
you
I just
walk in the
assume
house, it's
there's.
like, oh yeah, get
All
ready.
right, thanks so much, man.
You got it.